Alright everyone, welcome to the Space Engine controls video. I'm going to go ahead and go over some of the controls because a lot of people don't really know what all you can do in Space Engine, so we're going to start off with one of the most useful buttons. F3 on your keyboard is going to bring up the Find Object menu. Now in here you can put anything. You can, put the moon, Andromeda, and then you can select it and go to it. So let's put Earth. Let's go ahead and go to Earth. That's a good starting point here. So you can press go to or OK. We're gonna go to, and that'll zoom us right along to Earth. So now that we're at Earth here, I'm gonna show you some of the basic controls. So what I've used so far is WASD. These are the primary movement controls. Okay. Standard, W and S to forward and backward, A and D to sidestep, Q and E to roll, and after that you're going to want to use the scroll wheel to control your speed, so you can scroll up to move at very high velocities here, even above the speed of light right now, or you can take it very, very low to where you're barely moving at all. Now you can click around with the mouse to select objects here. So let's go ahead and go away from Earth here and try to find the sun. Okay, so there's the sun. You can click the sun, and by pressing the F2 button you can bring up the solar system menu, which is going to show you all the different bodies in the solar system. Okay, so we have the sun and all the planets, of course, and this button here will give you some more settings. You can change the view angle of the planets. I like a good 130 degrees. That's just personal preference. And then you can have it show dwarf moons or not show dwarf planets. You can show real sizes where you can actually compare the sizes. And so this is basically how you navigate around a solar system with great speed. Now you can also right click these objects to see what moons they have. If they don't have any moons, they're not going to do anything. If they do have moons, the moons are going to show up. So you can press F2 to close that again. Now one of the most useful controls is probably the G button. Pressing G once is going to slowly take you towards an object. Now pressing G twice quickly, like double tapping it, is going to take you right to the surface of an object. Or not the surface, but close to it. So we can select Earth here, double tap G, and it takes us right to it. Now you can also press Shift G to go to the surface of an object. Shift G, and that takes us to the surface of the moon. Another way to browse solar systems is pressing M. That brings up it's a more technical view of things. You can see the orbital lines and everything. You can rotate it around using the right click, the same way you rotate normally. And you can use this little bar here to keep zooming out until you can see the closest stars to the system, and then you can select those and double tap G to travel there as well. You can also press C to center your view on the object that you have selected. Now I'm going to go ahead and show the time controls here. you can manipulate the time by many factors here, up to a very high number, and you can observe the cycles of any solar system for as long as you want, using the K and L key, L to increase time, K to decrease, and J to reverse time. Now you can also use the number keys to change your control way. So you can press 1 to use free mode, which is the normal mode you spawn in. You use the mouse to move around, and you can press 2 to select spacecraft mode, which is a much smoother way of controlling. Much like a spacecraft, it remembers your momentum and velocity and keeps you on that course. And there's also a third mode, airplane mode, aircraft mode, which is basically like an aircraft, very similar to spacecraft mode. Now, Space Engine has tons of different options. Okay, you can go ahead and press F4 to bring up a menu here where you can toggle on orbits and markers and labels showing basically everything, and usually all the information you would ever need and could ever get from a system here. Pressing F7 can bring up the magnitude and brightness settings menu, where you can choose how bright things are going to be. Now the defaults are usually the best, but if you want to see more stars, you can up the magnitudes here. More galaxies, you can up the magnitudes here. Yeah, those are all galaxies. There's different settings here. You can up the models, the ambient, you can even up the exposure for more realistic or unrealistic shots. Now, when you press F6, you can bring up the locations menu. Now you can save any location you visit here in Space Engine and visit it at a later time by going. Now if you want to add a location, you can add and then write in anything, or it'll usually put a name if you don't feel like writing it in, and then now you can visit that at a later time. Now you can press escape to access the main menu here. Now planetarium is the main mode where you can go and do anything basically. You can go into the editor and edit a planet, export planet, you know, export system, export skybox. I haven't really messed with those settings, but they do work and they are pretty cool. Now here you can access some of the menus that we've already accessed here, like the objects menu. Now here's the full controls. I didn't go over all the controls because there's so many, but here's some of the other ones so that they are in the video. And some of them are very useful, and some of the other ones not so much. But yeah, there are a lot of controls in this game. Anyways, you go back to the graphics menu here. Now the graphics menu is pretty important. Now these are my default settings here. You can turn on 3D water, and you can see how the water changes a little bit there, but that costs some CPU power. You can change a lot of things like real sun brightness, sometimes that has glitches in it. Now here's the main setting that interests a lot of people, landscape LOD. Now this is how detailed the landscape is. Now at a setting like -2, you can see how the landscape changes, and it's not very detailed, but as you increase it, the landscape gets much more detailed. And at higher LODs like LOD 2, you need a substantially powerful machine to be able to show that kind of landscape, but after loading, you can see it's not even close to being finished loading, but it still looks very good. I'll let that run for a bit and see if I can manage to load some of this. Alright, so it's been loading for about a good 4 minutes now and it's still not done, but as you can see it looks really good right now. Before I want to end this video, I want to add that you're not going to find landscape like this in the default solar system, like the Earth solar system. Many people play Space Engine and then they complain, you know, where are all those fine landscapes like we've seen in the screenshots, and it's because they never leave the solar system. Space Engine only generates procedural landscape on other planets, not around the sun. So you need to go to the other stars, not just the sun. Space Engine renders pretty much every single thing in the universe, in the observable universe, down to, you know, from the galaxies to the clusters to the nebulas to the stars to the planets to the moons to the mountains to the features on the planets. It's ridiculous. I mean, this game is just massive and there's just so much to do in it. Anyways, that is my general how-to Space Engine video. I hope someone can get some use out of that. And until next time.